Shalom חברים. Today we are just past Yom Kippur that happened yesterday, so I want to wish to all of you Gmar Chatima Tova, and we are heading towards Sukkot. And therefore I'd like to share with you something that comes from one of the Yom Kippur readings, specifically from the Mincha Torah service, in which we read the section of the Torah portion Acharei Mot. Now, this is a quite provocative section. In fact, a lot of synagogues choose to read alternative sections of Torah because this exact section has a lot to do with sexual prohibitions that prove offensive to many people. But after all of these prohibitions, there's a verse that goes like this: ומזרעך לא תיתן להעביר למולך ולא תחלל את שם אלוהיך, אני אדוני. Do not allow any of your offspring to be offered up to Molech, and do not profane the name of your God. I am Adonai. Now, what is Molech? Some of you may know that Molech was the false god that demanded human sacrifice, demanded child sacrifice. And this comes from an ancient Mesopotamian traditions, and some say that the entire Jewish faith developed as a response to human sacrifice, as a response to child sacrifice, and that in fact our momentous and canonic moment of the Akedah, of the binding of Isaac, the moment in which God says, Al tishlach yadcha el anar, do not reach out and kill the boy or harm the boy, is the exact moment where Judaism separated itself from those practices. We do not do that. And let's look at Rashi. Okay, so Rashi for this exact verse is saying this was an idol, the name of which was Molech, and this was the manner in which it was worshipped, that he, the father, handed his child over to the priest of the idol. These lit two large pyres, one opposite the other, and made the child to pass on foot between the two pyres. And Rashi takes it from Talmud, from Sanhedrin. Now, of course, our tradition goes against something so horrific and unthinkable. But there is another layer to it that is really, really deep and profound and beyond the physical horrific act, but something that holds the core of our faith and spirituality. So, Rabbeinu Bechaye, okay, on the same verse says, ומזרעך לא תיתן להעביר למולך, so is pertaining to this verse, and I'm skipping here, but it says, והייתה דעתם כי באוויר האב אחד מבניו ינצלו שהרבנים ויחיו והוא יצליח בכל אשר יפנה. What does it mean? It means that the people who actually practiced this horrible sacrifice, they were convinced that if the father chooses one of his children to pass between those two pyres, what it would mean is that the rest of the children will be saved, they will live, and that the father will succeed in everything he chooses. So, according to this, in order to be protected from calamity and gain abundance and happiness, one must pay a little tax, if you will. Basically, to cut a portion of one's happiness and give it away to the Molech. Now, I'm going to bring you one more commentary about this, and this is from Rashar Hirsch. And Rashar Hirsch is saying something really, really interesting. He's saying Molech, the word Molech, is not an entity. It's not a god, because Molech is not like Melech. Melech is an entity, right? A king. Molech has the exact same grammatic structure of Kodesh or Godel, meaning it's an abstract noun. It's a concept. And what is this concept? the Rashar here is saying that this concept is the force of destiny of the idolatrous world view. And let me explain. So our tradition, of course, will stand in opposite to the belief in false gods, right? Statues, images, that we bow towards. This is something that Judaism, from its very beginning said, we believe in that oneness, the otherness, that one God. This is not for us. I remind you that a famous midrash about Abraham, that his father owned a shop of statues, of little idols that people worshipped. And one day Abraham came into the shop when his father was not there and completely smashed and destroyed all of those idols, all of those statues. And when his father came to the shop and asked, why did you do that? Why did you destroy all of it? And Abraham said, I'm sorry, but, they started fighting with each other and saying bad words to one another, and I couldn't stand it, so I had to destroy all of them. So Abraham's father says, are you crazy? Do you think the statues can talk or do anything? So then Abraham replies, then why do you worship them? And so this nice midrash is really, kind of puts all of that in complete opposition to our tradition. But what the Rashar Hirsch is saying here is that the sacrifice or the belief in the Molech is 10 times more severe than just believing in false God. Why? Because believing in Molech is actually people who claim to believe in Adonai, who claim to believe in the one monotheistic God, but all the while going like this. All the while saying, wait, don't harm me. All the while fearing that God is out to get me, that cannot enjoy happiness, that thinks that if something is going really, really well, they shouldn't be happy because that only means that something horrible is going to happen, that tax, that the portion of the happiness will have to be paid one way or another, or living in fear of retribution from that Adonai for making a mistake. And that is the worst form of idolatry in our view. And this is why the portion is saying that it's so the person that gives to the Molech is making my temples impure and defiling, profane my name, because it's taking Adonai's name, pretending to believe in Adonai, all the God, completely missing the essence of Adonai, which is the essence of bestowing goodness, and not that entity of this thing is out to get me. Now, there's a wonderful sci-fi writer that I really, really love, Ursula Le Guin. And I really, really highly recommend, if you don't know her, that you look her up and her work. She wrote an incredible novel called The Left Hand of Darkness, which is really one of my favorites. And today I want to introduce you to one of her short stories that appear in this book. The name of this story is The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. So The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, this short story basically tells of a utopian city and of a visitor that comes to visit the city. And when this visitor visits the city, there's a festival. And that festival, they see amazing looking people, all being happy and playing music. And there's abundance, and there's foods, and there's drink, and there's lovemaking, and there's just nothing but joy and happiness. And the more the visitor stays in that city, they realize that this was not just a festival, that this is how life is in that city. Life that is full of joy, happiness, and abundance. But when the visitor stays longer, they realize that this entire serene view and happiness sits above a dungeon. And in that dungeon, there's a child that is condemned to life of misery and suffering. And it's only due to this child's suffering that the city can enjoy life of happiness. Now, when it comes to our tradition, when Judaism, when our sages talk about dinei nefashot, basically the laws of taking a soul or one soul versus another, the laws regarding loss of lives, our tradition teaches us that every soul is eternal, and that is not up to us to determine which is worthy of sacrificing for the benefit of the other. Now, our true faith in God is living in confidence that the only thing that we can do in order to live a happy life is not to live our life in constant fear, attempting to protect ourselves from punishment, which may or may not come due to us being too happy or too evil. The only way to live a happy life is what the meaning of the entire Yom Kippur is. When we make a mistake, it's not about living in fear of the punishment. When we win something, when we gain something, it's not about living in fear, thinking that we owe something to someone. Yom Kippur was not a day to be fearful, but rather the opposite, a day of opportunity. A day of opportunity to correct and to do better. The only thing we can do when something goes wrong is try to make it better. And we are giving the opportunity to do it every year, over and over again. And if we improve the world becomes better. But if we give in to Molech, if we harm one another in the false belief that this is a sacrifice we make for the greater good, the world will just continue spiraling down. And so is our fate. Now, when the people of Omelas grow old, some of them find out about the child. And some of them just return to the city and say, well, this is how life is, and I accept it. But there are some that always walk away. And Ursula Le Guin ends her story like this. They go on. They leave Omelas. They walk ahead into the darkness, and they do not come back. The place they go towards is a place even less imaginable to most of us than the city of happiness. I cannot describe it at all. It is possible that it does not exist, but they seem to know where they are going, the ones who walk away from Omelas. Gmar Chatima Tova.